Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derrick Bittner, and I'm joined today by John Cartwright to give our impressions of the Persona 5 Scramble Japanese demo. So, let's get started. So yeah, John, the Persona 5 Scramble demo came out just a few days ago, a little earlier for us than Japan, technically. Thank you, time differences. But yeah, it was a small taste of what we can expect from the full game, and our first real experience of the game on the Nintendo Switch, which is really cool. And crazy enough, it's coming out in Japan in about 12 days or so we won't have long to see how the full version is, but this is mainly to give us our first real impressions of the gameplay, going hands-on with it, and just, thoughts so far. So, what do you think so far, John?
My impressions are super solid so far. This is not like any other Dynasty Warriors kind of game I've played. It's basically a core Persona game with a smidge of Dynasty Warriors. It's not like Hyrule Warriors, where it's basically Dynasty Warriors with a bit of Zelda. It's the exact opposite of that. It maintains so much of the core identity of Persona, from not only the exploration and the style, but also the combat. Like, the actual combat's very hack and slashy Dynasty Warriors, but they've sort of put in a little bit of like the magic system and small tastes of what turn-based Persona's like in there. And it just feels like a really successful mix of both franchises. And most of the time I just felt like I was playing a Persona game.
Mm-hmm. It basically is just an action Persona game. Like if you're doing more of an action RPG type Persona than anything else. Because I still get the vibe of a Dynasty Warriors game. It's very classic with the light attack, heavy attack for one combo, light, heavy, so forth. That's been in so many Dynasty Warriors games. It's ingrained into me now after playing so much of Hyrule Warriors. But you're right, it does match up really well because you're not having these huge battles, at least not yet in this preview portion, but you do have these small skirmishes as you go throughout the small area that you go through, and it really does come across as here's a battle, you're completed the battle, cool, move on. It's very much short bursts, which I think works in its favor because I think it's designed to kind of maybe wear you down as you go along if you're going through a long dungeon. I'm just assuming this, of course. This is not based on the demo whatsoever. But I can see where the elements would come in because the first time they introduced the magic system and, hitting the R button to have an area of effect and using a spell or a attack in that effect, I burned through my SP and like, oh crap, I'm all out. That was the problem.
Right. The way it progresses kind of feels like just encounters in Persona. So like you're going through technically a palace, I guess, and then every now and then you'll go into these little skirmishes with a bunch of enemies. But yeah, it's not like you're always fighting them. So a lot of the time you are just sort of exploring like you would in a regular Persona game. And I think the thing that the demo emphasizes more than anything isn't the combat at all, but it's just walking around Tokyo. Because of course in Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Thieves actually go across all of Japan, but the demo takes place just in the core elements, in the core areas of Persona 5. So you're revisiting all these locations that you've spent hours in before, and it's weirdly nostalgic for a game that's only 3 years old.
Yeah, I had that exact same feeling, because it had been a while since I played the original Persona and finished it, but coming back into that area where the LeBlanc is and getting a chance to at least walk around a little bit and see what's the same, what's different, see the little place you can buy items, going to check out Takemi's doctor shop, seeing where the washing machines were, that kind of stuff. It was really cool to just go around and check. And I did have a nice pang of nostalgia when they were painting across all of the interior of LeBlanc, and you saw like the painting for Yusuke and just everything set up. It's like, oh, it hasn't changed. And then you see the date, and it's like, oh, it's only been 4 or 5 months since the end of Persona.
We put up a video where we're comparing these locations to the vanilla Persona 5, and it's super cool how accurate it is, because every location feels more or less the exact same. But right down to the way the camera pans out. Like if you go to the edge of an alley in Persona 5, the camera sort of reaches out a little bit, and it does that exact same thing in Scramble. It's just the attention to detail is so close, and it's that sort of detail that makes it feel like a proper sequel. Because when they said this was basically Persona 5 2, I was a little bit cautious because they said the very same thing with the Arena games, they're canon sequels. But I think the way that it actually does feel like a Persona game I buy into that idea now, that this really does seem to be Persona 5 too, and not just from a marketing perspective, like from not only a story perspective, but also a gameplay one.
Yeah, I get that sense as well, because I played a little bit of Persona 4 arena games, of course dancing as well, and those seem to take the core tropes of each of the characters and just like put them in a new situation. And here we are being promised that the characters have grown since the end of Persona 5. You can see the changes with them. Like Haru's more confident, and same with An and whatnot. And Futaba's less scared being in public. Like they've all grown significantly, which granted I never played through the entirety of Persona 4, but I didn't get that sense of that within Persona 4 Dancing or my little taste of the story mode in Persona 4 Arena. They just seems like kind of stuck where they were.
It's also quite cool just seeing how accurately they've portrayed the story elements too, because of course it's in Japanese, we can't understand exactly what's going on, but the text boxes and the UI are just so similar to what Persona 5 is like. And I don't think we actually had a cat portrait for Morgana in regular Persona 5, so that's kind of cool to see in this.
I think we saw Morgana as a cat a few times. Actually, maybe we didn't. I can't remember, because now that you say it, I was like, wait a second, did we not? Did he always appear as like his other form?
Morgana was definitely a cat in 3D model form. I can't remember there being a 2D portrait.
Commons will surely correct us one way or the other. But you're right. Real quick before I get into anything else, you talked about the UI and how it's easy to tell. Holy crap, that menu. Like, you thought the original game had a stylish menu. Just seeing Joker with each of the different party members for each of the menus. Really cool. I'm a little bummed Makoto's not there at all. Like, why didn't she get part of the menu? But or I guess Yusuke didn't either. But it's still really cool to just see that style, to see the way it shifts and changes, and it's like, it makes you feel like, I guess, part of a team, more of a team this time around.
I don't know how integral Atlus were to the development of this one, but if Koei Tecmo did it all, then they've nailed it. You can tell that it's built on their engine, because of course when you compare it to Persona 5, it doesn't look one-to-one. The colours are a bit more muted in Scramble, and of course it's built on an entirely different engine. This engine's built to have huge waves of enemies on screen at once, but they've just nailed everything about it. And it's also cool that they've also had these brand new characters who feel really in place in this world. The first boss that you encounter, the way that they transition in the
the metaverse?
The metaverse, yeah, the way they transition into like a more emphasized version of themselves there, it feels like it could have been from the core game, and we get a good taste of that in the trailer too. And just these designs, just they don't feel like they were made for a spin-off. They feel like they could have probably been in the Persona 5 sequel.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, for being entirely in Japanese, I am really intrigued by the plot, and was mostly able to follow it along with it, because we got that opening bit where you, of course, like, here's some of the action before we get into the story, and then we got the introduction, I believe, of his name is Zenkichi. He's the guy in the police station. You see how he's kind of laughing about things, and how he kind of stands out from the other officers, but then there's also this stern older woman's like, okay, what's she about? Then, of course, you got the reunion between the group and them talking, and then they introduced this new app that I guess is Siri-like. I think they call it Emma.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess when they go to meet this woman, Alice, that's randomly having this thing at Shibuya, they're giving this code, and when they input the code, that's when they get transported to what I presume is the metaverse, along with other people where they steal their hearts. The hearts of like some other random guys, and they just, because they're Phantom Thieves, they end up in their costumes. It's like, okay, it makes me immediately go, okay, what's different about this metaverse, and why? Like, it doesn't seem like unknown. It seems like the person knows about the metaverse. It's like, all right, we're going to toss you in here with my shadow. Mm-hmm. And it makes me want to see more.
Right, and then there's also a brand new character who has, I guess, similar origins, because she's an AI who, in the overworld, lives in your phone. So it's very strange how the phone's just sort of interacting more with this new metaverse, and there's definitely a lot of mysteries to unfold here.
It definitely makes me want to play more. I was honestly, I was jamming the directional buttons, like, oh, come on, can I try out the other characters? And nope, you're stuck to Joker for now.
Yeah, same.
Because as soon as Sophie had her cutscene, I'm like, okay, I want to try that.
I'm interested to see how varied the overworld is in this game, because in the demo, it's really just a hub for story. There's nothing you can really do in the overworld. So it'd be interesting to see if they have confidants and social elements and things like that. Because as of right now, it's really just a place to advance the story. So I want to see how in-depth they go with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll have confidants or not. I've not heard too much. Maybe with the other team members and how you have them join you. I'm honestly not sure on that one. I hope so, because you have shops that you can check out, but it is also very early on, because how much of that area could you explore when you first arrived in Persona 5? It's definitely a type of game that expands more as you go along.
True, right. In one of the trailers as well, we saw Persona fusing in the Velvet Room, so it does seem like there is going to be quite in-depth elements outside of combat there. You have access to a couple of personas in the gameplay. You have the Pixie, you have
Jack-o'-lantern, Arsene, and then after the boss you get actually I don't know if you get Bicorn.
Well, I mean, either way though, it shows you how varied the amount of personas you can get are, and the fact that you can fuse them as well. It just makes me think, how many are there going to be in this game? And how much are they going to shape up the gameplay? Because when you use your personas in-game, personas are still weak to elements, which really adds an interesting wrinkle to the combat of a Dynasty Warriors game.
It does, because not only can you just unleash their spells or their physical attacks by holding down the R button and having that list, because they have, like the game, you have spells that will cost SP or enhanced physical attacks that lower your HP, and they affect a different area. And of course there's weaknesses as well. What I discovered as I was playing around the second time, because the first time I played this I was on a plane in handheld mode and I didn't get the chance to really hear the music, so I wanted to play it again and get a better sense of it on a home console experience. And when I was playing around a bit, I realized, oh crap, if I just use the one of Joker's combos, that's what brings out the persona and has them unleash an attack, and that also counts towards their weakness, where you can then chain it and use the A button on them when they're downed in order to do a wider area attack and really deal out some damage. And that's really cool, a nice get around if you're running low on SP.
It's also great to see how the environment works in the combat too. We're giving a few instances in the demo. You can hop up onto these lampposts and either survey from up there, leap to another lamppost, or just swing down and damage enemies that way. And later on in the demo, there are these hanging bridges, I guess, which you can make collapse on top of enemies as well. Mm-hmm. So it's very cool not only to have those Persona elements, the magic elements, actual Dynasty Warriors combat, but also just these dynamic environments to play around with too. It just feels far more varied than any other Dynasty Warriors game that I've played.
It feels more tactical in a way, because I was actually thinking of that as you were talking. I don't believe there's a combo meter in this one, which I'm pretty sure there was in Hyrule Warriors, correct?
Right, yeah, I think there was.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a combo meter here, and that to me says, well, take your time.
Yeah.
Plan out your attack, figure out what you want to do, because it is a lot more technical, and the fact that you can just, when you bring up your magic menu, time stops, and you can switch between your personas at any time, at any rate. It's, you're able to really plan your attacks, which I think is going to help for newcomers to the Dynasty Warriors formula, where it's not just mashing the buttons. You can take time to think and plan out your attacks.
Speaking of taking your time as well, and also something you mentioned earlier about the music, when I got a chance to play this game just on my own, I had to just pause the game and listen to some of these tracks. Hyrule Warriors was fantastic for remixing these iconic Zelda tunes in a more actiony manner. In a sense, Scramble does a similar thing, but you also get these swing renditions, which are just super groovy to listen to. And then of course you get the main battle theme from Persona 5 as well, which has just been given this far more harder version. And every single new rendition just sounds amazing.
Yeah, I love it. When I first got to hear, when I realized it was a Never See It Coming remix, I'm like, ooh, that's good. And then you just get a few other remixes in there. It was like, ooh, this is going to be a good soundtrack, because it's a nice combination of the music you remember when you're going around Shibuya or LeBlanc or the Velvet Room. It's all the music that you had before, but then you get into the battles, and that's when you get the new stuff. And I'm excited for the soundtrack.
It's kind of weird hearing those tracks that haven't been rearranged, because you're on the Switch, you're walking around Shibuya, and the music is the exact same as a core Persona 5 game. So if you were walking on a train and you gauged your eyes at someone's Switch and you just saw that scene, I would just be convinced that this is actually Persona 5. It just gets so close at times.
It really is impressive. I was looking at your comparison that you did between the PS4 demo and the Switch demo, and outside of the frame rate, it seems like they're relatively similar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of differences, but for the most part, yeah, they look really similar. And I've seen a lot of comments say that 60 FPS means a lot to them, which, if that is the case for you, then sure. But as we're touching on earlier, this is like a far more tactical Dynasty Warriors approach. So for me, I don't think frame rate's really that integral to your enjoyment here. I had the same amount of fun playing it on Switch as I did on PlayStation 4. But yeah, whatever your preference is, of course. But honestly, I don't think frame rate's a big deal here.
Yeah, and the graphics weren't significantly better in the PS4 version. Was it? Because it actually, I did notice that there was a lot of I don't know the best way to describe it, like a bit of scratchiness to the outlines of a couple of characters, especially in the background.
Yeah, both PlayStation 4 and Switch have some aliasing issues. So
that's it.
If there's a character in the background, like quite far behind you, they are going to have some jaggy edges. That's on both platforms. I think that's just a limitation of the engine, because this is built for large-scale, multiple enemies on screen at once sort of thing. Either way, I still think it looks passable, and it's just really cool seeing this kind of thing on the Switch, like seeing Persona 5 on the Switch.
Yeah, I got used to it pretty quickly. It's just one of those things that doesn't have that cleanness that I was kind of used to, which is a minor knock against it, but nothing like, oh no, the game is ruined.
Yeah, like core Persona 5 looks better than this, but that's also a much smaller scale game though.
Yeah, they can take their time to really show each area and build them. Not quite with this one, where you have these larger arenas, and we'll see how it changes for the others, but from being your first area that you really explore being a literal trash heap, it doesn't look too bad. I think there's enough personality there, and I was shocked at the exploration. You have a double jump now, and they have these areas that you can explore and climb up and find accessories or healing items. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
It feels like there's some untapped gameplay mechanics here that they haven't quite shown yet as well. Like, it felt like they're going to touch on stealth elements for a moment, but then just transitions to a cutscene. So I wonder if they're going to find a place in here, because they were quite a big part of Persona 5. So I wonder if there's portions where you can just skip encounters entirely.
I bet you could. I don't know if you'd want to, because you obviously want to level up everybody up, but it might be possible. Because this demo is definitely very highly structured. There's an exclamation at every point where you're going to have an encounter.
Yeah, the game does seem to get a lot bigger as it goes on. Like, Tokyo is not the only place you explore. You go all around Japan. So these recreations of these Persona 5 locations, they're basically the starting area. And we're going to be going to entirely new areas, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing the full version once it comes out on the 20th. Because I've already preloaded the game and I'm ready to stream it for quite a bit, and we're gonna really dig into this and see what it has to offer. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and language doesn't seem to be that much of a barrier, but of course you'll miss out on the story. But just for general gameplay, it's fully playable without knowing a single word of Japanese.
And I can intonate a lot of what's going on just based off of how the characters react to things or voice things, and you kind of get a general sense of what's going on. And thank God there's a little bit of English for the menus, where you can easily figure out, like, you're not going to get the finer details, but okay, this is all my weapons, this is all my accessories, these are my personas. I don't know what these moves do, but because of the symbols and playing Persona 5, I have an idea of kind of what the kind of effect they have, so we can go from there. You can work through it, and of course showing the buttons helps a lot too. So it's translated enough that you can enjoy the game and not have too much of a barrier because of that. And I had no issue playing the game for the demo.
It's also cool hearing the Japanese voice actors. I didn't know that Morgana was voiced by Pikachu in this.
Oh, really?
Sometimes
I didn't know that either.
Sometimes you can just hear Pikachu in the way that she phrases things. It's super weird.
I was actually, because I did not play in Japanese at all when I played Persona 5, the general sound of the characters is very similar between English and Japanese. Like the English casting, they really got honed in on the style of their voice, especially Ryuji.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at the comments for our videos, and the thing I think people are concerned about is that this is just going to be another Dynasty Warriors game. But after playing through the demo multiple times, this is absolutely not that. It's quite remarkable what they've done with this, and I don't think we've ever really... They get quite experimental with a lot of their collaborations, but I don't think any of them have been quite like this, though.
No, this is certainly something new where they've actually gotten away from the giant areas, and that might change in the future. It's completely possible that'll change the farther you get in the game. But so far in the beginning, they've kept it smaller scale, which does give it a bit of uniqueness and feels more Persona. Like, it doesn't feel like a Persona Dynasty Warriors game. It feels like an action RPG version of Persona.
Yeah, like even the battle pacing is so similar. Encounters, I guess, are around the same time as a regular Persona encounter. There's points where you fight a stronger enemy, but they last a minute, 2 minutes.
Nothing too long, and they give you the weakness for Bicorn, so you can tear through him pretty quickly. And it's just really gratifying combat. Any other thoughts on Persona 5 Scramble?
I'm just really impressed. Like, to be honest, I do enjoy Dynasty Warriors games, but I enjoy them more so because I have a great affiliation with a lot of the collaboration franchises they've done them with. So I love Hyrule Warriors, but mostly because I'm a big Zelda fan. But this time around, I am a big Persona fan as well. But I also just like this game. It just feels like something I want to play through to the end. Whereas with Hyrule Warriors, I would have to take breaks, sometimes just force my way through some levels that I didn't like. But I just feel like I really need to play this game. It just seems like a lot of fun, and something that people shouldn't sleep on.
Yeah, I get no sense, like there's nothing indicated in the menus of those type of extra modes that you got from Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors, where it was just, here's a mission, do it and you'll get better equipment. It's structured more like, well, a Persona 5 2. Rather than like, alright, here's a little bit of story, alright, you're done with the story, okay, here's a bunch of extra stuff that doesn't really matter, but you get cool stuff out of it, so have at it. Yeah. There's your extra gameplay.
Yeah. I do hope they get a bit more fan servicey with the broader Persona cast, like bringing in 4 and 3, maybe even Revelations and all the other Personas. But it seems like the core focus of the story at least will be Persona 5. But in the post-game, I hope they go wild.
Yeah, that's my big hope as well. And who knows how big the game is? That's my question. It's like, is it going to be... I don't think it's going to be 100 hours, at least for the core story, but I could see it getting to 40, 50, 60 hours, potentially, depending on how...
Yeah, like you go through a couple of days in the demo, but I think you go through 2 days, but it goes through pretty fast, and I don't know if this is going to be an entire year. I wouldn't think it is, but...
It seems like a summer vacation type of thing, so my guess is maybe 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, but either way, it does feel like there's a lot of meat on here, and these kind of games are always so replayable, so... I can see this being the sort of thing that you can play for 20, 30 hours, or 300 hours. I've got friends on my friend list who have played Hyrule Warriors for like 500 hours. I don't know how they do it, but you can. You
definitely can, so... Yeah, I'm excited to check out the full version when it comes out in Japan, and if you guys want to check out that version, I'll be streaming it on the day, so keep an eye out for that. And hopefully we'll get news of an English release soon. Until then, we have Royal, so that'll hold us over, hopefully. Alright, so I think that covers it for our Persona 5 Scramble demo discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Persona and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.